Flanked by senior government officials from both countries, Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan and his Iranian counterpart Hassan Rouhani announced a new era of economic cooperation. Despite international sanctions on Iran and wars in Syria and Iraq, bilateral trade has grown beyond $11 billion a year. Both governments are eager to see this volume triple, and they've announced a number of measures to boost business.
We have decided to trade in our own currencies to protect our businesses from the fluctuation of exchange rates of other currencies.
Both countries will also issue banking licenses to each other's financial institutions. Their 3 border gates will remain open around the clock to ease the flow of goods and services, and Turkish companies will be able to invest in Iran's oil and gas sector. Both governments have also stressed the need to establish peace to be able to improve livelihoods in the region.
The ultimate goal of both countries is to create peace, stability, and security in the entire region through more cooperation between Iran, Turkey, and Russia.
Turkey's exports to Iran surged 36% last year, and it's already among the leading foreign investors in that country. With Ankara and Tehran clearing hurdles for businesses on both sides, bilateral trade appears primed for a further boost. Mobin Nasir, TRT World.
Let's get more on this now with Taha Arvas, who's with me in the studio. He's a financial columnist with the Daily Sabah newspaper. Great to have you on Money Talks as always, Taha. Let's start with the relationship between Turkey and Iran. How important are the commercial ties for each other?
They are very important. Turkey is the 3rd and 4th exporter and importer for Iran, and Iran is the 9th or 10th trading partner for Turkey. So the trading relations can't be overstated, so they're very important.
Indeed. So let's go to the recent referendum that we had in the Kurdish regional government area of northern Iraq. This is obviously going to be at the top of their agenda at the meeting that they're having, but both sides have imposed restrictions on the KRG government. How is that going to affect trade in that region, and in particular trade between Iran and Turkey and Iraq?
It's really an issue more for Iran than it is for Turkey. Turkey has a lot of trade with the KRG. It's the #1 trading partner Turkey is for the KRG. Government ministers have said that this won't affect business between Turkey and the KRG. But it's a huge issue for Iran because the government in in Baghdad is very much aligned with Tehran. Ironically, Iran has kind of taken over the Iraqi government, or is very powerful there. So any loss of land in the north of Iraq, the KRG, would be devastating for Iraq proper and for Iran. And so the oil revenue would be lost, a lot of the oil revenue would be lost, a corridor west would be lost. So Iran wants to make sure that the KRG is in the hands of Baghdad, and wants Turkey to help it do that.
So opportunities then for Turkish companies in Iran. But of course, as we know, Iran is potentially looking at the reimposition of US sanctions. If that happens, what would the effect be on Iran's economy, and by extension, what would it do to those opportunities that Turkey's looking at?
You know, it's interesting. Just 24 hours ago, there was a Senate Foreign Relations Committee testifying, the Secretary of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and the Secretary of Defense of the United States testified to the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, and both administration officials were very much pro-Iran nuclear deal. Secretary of Defense said it's in the United States' national interests, national security interests, to continue the deal. The Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Dumford, said Iran has abided by it. So it's a green light for the Iran nuclear deal to continue. And this means that Turkish companies and all other foreign companies can very easily now do business in Iran without fear of further sanctions coming back on Iran.
Definitely a story we're going to be watching very closely as we go forwards. But for now, Taha Arvas from the Daily Sabah, thank you very much for joining us once again.
Thank you.